How can I integrate the breath work and techniques that I am learning this week with your lessons in the Course in Miracles?
Beloved friend, the question comes from a quality of mind that would perceive a separation between the two. For only what is perceived as separate must be integrated. Know well then that A Course in Miracles is a teaching device aimed at a specific goal or conclusion. That conclusion or goal is the reestablishment of peace. Peace begins to be reestablished in the mind when the mind is convinced that there is a way of perceiving, a way of orienting itself to its experience that brings a greater reward than what has been known before. A Course in Miracles was given initially to people who had asked from the depth of their being, although they were not aware of it at the time, to be shown a way to perceive differently. A wise teacher first learns the language of the student. And the two that asked the question carried an orientation in which their primary mechanism for experience was through the level of the mind or the intellect. Therefore, the teaching tool needed to be conveyed in a way that could be acceptable to them as the student. Secondarily, of course, as you well know, the essential message that I sought to bring forth through that teaching device is equally applicable to anyone who may be attracted to pursuing the study of it. And yet, the Course does not seek to answer every question that a teacher of God will indeed come to ask. It is designed only to reestablish the mind at peace and to cultivate within that mind the willingness to ask of what I've called the Comforter, the Holy Spirit, for guidance, rather than remaining attached to its own devices for decision-making. This opens the way for the mind to be guided ever more deeply into what is required to become fully reestablished as the embodiment of love. What you have called here breath work is merely a next stepping stone. Those who would hold that the Course in Miracles is a complete teaching device within itself are accurate if they understand that it was given to those who are deeply embedded within the intellectual processes, and that it has a specific goal, it is self-contained. Those that would assert that viewing the Course in Miracles as a complete teaching tool in itself, if they take this to mean that there is nothing further to explore, nothing further to deepen and become, are inaccurate. View it then as a teaching device with a specific goal, given in a way that is acceptable to those who have learned to abide primarily in the level of mind that is engaged in conceptualization. I answer your question this way because the body itself is not outside of the mind. It arises from within the mind. And you can therefore look upon it and what arises within it to witness the effects of the thoughts that are actually occurring within the mind or have occurred in the past and have not been corrected or changed. Mind is far-reaching. Mind is everything, as the term is used within that teaching device. It should always be spelt with a capital M. Mind also encompasses feeling. Mind encompasses the body itself. For without the mind's first having chosen the thought, the imagination, there could not even be a physical realm in the first place. When you choose, therefore, to allow yourself to breathe, recognize that it is from the power to decide, that is, the power of the mind to choose, that you are creating the effect of allowing the aspect of the mind known as the body to also receive illumination. To integrate A Course in Miracles with what you are calling breath work and what I have addressed earlier in this hour as the way of feeling, and what indeed we have called for the whole of this year the way of the heart, requires only the continued little willingness to surrender any and all limited perceptions of what life is, to what awakening is, to what love is, and what healing is, so that the Holy Spirit can guide you into the truth of all things. For indeed, beloved friend, understand well that what was shared earlier deeply pertains to you, namely this: when from the depth of your being you have fully committed to awakening from every last trace of separation from God, when you are truly committed to not seeking for love, but you are willing to seek for all of the obstacles that have been created within you that block the awareness of love's presence, then indeed what you find yourself attracted to, what you find yourself deciding for in terms of the experiences that you would call to yourself, these things are the answer to your prayer. For just as my Course in Miracles came to your life, as you well know, as the result of your own longing to deepen your relationship with God, so too have you found yourself journeying to a tiny speck of dust in the middle of a large body of water to breathe. It is an extension and comes from the guidance of the Comforter, the Holy Spirit. Therefore, the integration is simple. Decide not for yourself, but turn decisions over to the Holy Spirit. And then take what He has guided you toward and make it part of your life. And trust in faith that all these things are not without purpose. Ask only that every aspect, every tiny corner of your mind becomes so illuminated, so healed, that only Christ abides where even there seems to be the body.
How can I tell the difference between old ego habits of feeling and feelings which need to be felt to completion?
First, beloved friend, is there a difference? Your experience is always of and in the present. For what arises is not past, it is now. Is it an old ego pattern? Perhaps. If there is a sense of constriction, a sense of resistance, a sense of judgment of self or another, rest assured that what has arisen to temporarily dominate your attention is an egoic pattern, since the ego is, by definition, the constriction away from love, and therefore the loss of peace is its result. Look well then and simply recognize what is arising in this moment. Am I willing to look upon it, to feel it, to embrace it? And as we would perceive and observe, you're beginning to recognize, am I willing yet to breathe? For to breathe is life. Feel then what you are truly feeling. Observe what is truly present within the mind. In this way, you take your hands and cup them around whatever that is. When you've done that, then recognize this great truth. I can choose again, and I can choose peace instead of this. Now the this is not so much the picture or what you might call a memory or a feeling or something that's coming up. The this speaks to your judgment, your perception of what is arising. You can choose peace instead of the perception that steals your peace. And that is the place of infinite and perfect power to literally transform your life. Beloved friend, the past does not exist at any moment. If the mind is bringing forth a picture or a thought that seems to be reminiscent of the past by your own decree, rest assured that it is arising in this present moment, which is the only place creation and experience occur. The past, then, can exist for you only if you recreate it now. This recreation does not mean that an image or a picture cannot arise in the mind, what you call memory, although it is a very present experience, we're speaking here of the experience you created when that same picture appeared in your experience in a different time frame. Your experience is never caused by what arises in the field of your awareness. Your experience, listen well, your experience is how you have chosen to react in the emotional and mental field to a neutral event that has arisen. All events are neutral. The reaction to them is what generates experience. When nails were driven through my hand, that was an entirely neutral event. Though, by the way, many friends scurried about, it didn't appear to be so neutral. But it was neutral for me. Therefore, understand, beloved friend, that whatever events have ever unfolded in the realm of your experience, each and every one of them was perfectly neutral until you responded with the reaction that you were choosing in order to create an experience in the emotional body, in order to create a learning experience about the potentials of your own consciousness. Forgiveness, healing, peace, and awakening are equally potentials within your own mind, equal to and indeed even greater than anything that you have experienced heretofore. Therefore understand, beloved friend, nothing has been caused by anything or anyone outside yourself. What arises is always present experience. Embrace it, look upon it, claim it, own it, feel it, breathe through it, and then recognize that you are free to choose again. Herein lies the straight and narrow path that leads to life. And you have a friend currently without a body who wants nothing more than to witness your true living. And you have countless friends with bodies who share the same desire. Be you therefore that which you are, and live from the power given unto you, from the freedom in which you abide always, as the love that you are.